This is the roof of the House of Commons, and I brought you up here because you can't get up here normally. In fact, I'm not sure we're meant to be up here. But you can see that it is absolutely outstanding, and it gives us an idea of just what this place is like. And here we are on the top of the house. This is one of the fire escapes across between the two buildings. The chamber of the House of Commons is just to this side, and Big Ben is to that side. It's rather nice, and on a day like this, even London can look lovely. It just shows you what it looks like on the roof. Well, this is the chamber of the House of Commons. How small this place is. It actually only seats roughly half the members of Parliament. If I am over this side and sit here, you can see that this place is very small indeed. This is where the Speaker sits. But in the old days, this, which is not the original Speaker's chair, had curtains around it. Why? Because built into the seat was a potty, in case he got a little bit caught short and had to go to the loo. I'm very glad it doesn't happen nowadays, rather difficult. This is where the Prime Minister stands. On the far side is where David Cameron, the Leader of the Opposition, stands.
Questions to the Prime Minister.
If you look, there is no distance at all. If the Prime Minister put his arm out, you'd actually touch. These two holders are for the mace. The mace is the authority of the House to sit. It used to be a battle mace, as carried by knights. It is now a rather beautiful gold ornate orb, quite long. And if you look up, you'll see the sea of microphones, which every word is picked up and recorded. The two red lines are exactly one arm and a sword length apart. So if a man was standing the other side, the two swords would just touch in the middle. And that is because in the old days, people had the penchant for doing each other in. Difficult and embarrassing. This is the bar of the House of Commons, this white line. I have to be this side of the line to take part, and therefore I can then speak. If you're ever dragged before the bar of the House and these are brought across, it means you're in incredible trouble. And this is where the Sergeant-at-Arms sits. The Sergeant-at-Arms is responsible for the security of the chamber. He's always a senior ex-officer. He will sit here. He has a sword, a pair of tights, and he's as dangerous as they come. The man that runs the place. Very important. The doors here are the outside part of the chamber. And on either side of me are the voting lobbies. Although you can't see them, they're two big corridors where we vote. And these doors are the doors that Black Rod, when he's sent from the House of Lords to come down to summon the Commons, actually comes to. These doors are shut in his face. Black Rod will come to this side of the door and hammer 3 times on this door to ask for admittance. When he gets inside the chamber, he then asks the House of Commons to attend Her Majesty in the House of Lords, which is that way. Well, this is a bit that none of the public ever see. This is the below stairs part. There's a roadway that runs from behind me all the way through, and it's commonly known as the Grunge Run. The reason is, it's got all the parts of the house you don't want to see. It's where the bottles are kept, it's where the paper's put, it's where everything is stored. But actually, it's a very important part of the house. It's where the operations start. Well, as you can see, it's like any good school or college. Each one member has a coat hanger. But more interestingly, on each coat hanger is a red or pink ribbon. And that is so that when you bring your sword in, you can hang your sword in there. And that is what it's for. There we are. I now have hung my sword on my peg in the House of Commons cloakroom. These tiles, you can see, are not symmetrical. It means they're not, obviously, in the right pattern. This is because only one Prime Minister has ever been assassinated in this country. Believe it or not, he was assassinated by a Member of Parliament. William Percival was shot here, and this is where he fell, during a vote in the House of Commons. And he said memorably, and the only true words in the House of Commons that have been spoken apparently, "I have been shot." He didn't die here because this is a royal palace. You're not allowed to die in royal palaces. Only the Queen or the King can die in the royal palace. So he was taken from here to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Well, this imposing staircase is the way up to the committee corridor where a lot of the work of Parliament is done, and this was made to give that idea of great splendour. It's impressive. It certainly is. Unlike the chamber, which is where you see Gordon Brown, the Prime Minister, arguing with the leader of the opposition or whoever, this is where the quiet work of making the laws work is actually done. But there's a great history in this room. About 400 years ago, Charles I decided he wanted to take on Parliament, and he accused 5 members of Parliament of being disloyal to the King. And this is the 5 members of Parliament fleeing for their lives before the King got them. And that was the start of the Civil War. And for the only time in our history, we didn't have a king or a queen to rule over us. And this was them actually getting in a fast boat, heading down the Thames before the King chopped their heads off. One of the problems we have, this is a very old place, it's well over 100 years old. And if you see, I'm walking on chunks of metal and pieces of wood, and there's no carpet. Well, in recess, all of this gets pulled up because at the moment they're laying cables, they're laying new flooring, they have to make sure the ceilings are clean. Because it's an old place, of course, they want to make sure there's nothing else living in here other than MPs. And who said ever finding a rat in the House of Commons would be unlikely? Well, this is the terrace of the House of Commons. This is where a lot of the horse trading and a lot of the work gets done. It's where we can sit outside, we can all talk. It's a little canteen down here so we can have, for want of a better word, lunch or supper or breakfast. But it means that we can talk to ministers. The great thing about that is, unlike most people who have to write to them and don't get replies, I can just walk up and ask to have a chat. How are you?
I'm well indeed.
One of the things about this place is that it's staircases, hundreds and hundreds of staircases. And for all that we may put on weight, I tell you, there's a very good way of losing it. But there's a lot of other little hidden bits and gems in the house, and I want to show you another one. People think that we're here just for 8 hours. We're not. We're here probably 12 to 14 hours a day. Because of that, we actually have showers. And this, believe it or not, is one of the shower rooms that we have in the House of Commons. And as you can see, all mod cons provided. I'm now going up in the lift to my office, and it's on the 2nd floor.
Doors opening.
Do you know when Tom King became MP, 1970, which seems a long time ago now, he had a room smaller than this, which he shared with 5 other MPs, and they had 3 desks and 1 telephone. So when one MP came in, somebody had to leave. I'm the first intake in 2001 which had our own offices, or everyone had their own offices, and this is a standard office. In fact, this is considered big as offices go in this place, so I'm very lucky. Every MP has surgeries, every MP has an office here in the House of Commons and in their constituency, and every MP feels and likes to feel that accessible to any constituent, doesn't matter what the problem is. We're here to serve. And I like to feel that if you want to phone me up, if you want to email me, or you want to just come and see me, my door's always open.
Ground floor.
This is where the ministers themselves work. I'm going to write to the minister and just say that I'm sick to death of this. Well, here we are, and most of you recognise in the middle of Bridgewater. Behind me is probably our most famous son, Admiral Blake. Born 1598, died 1659. No, he didn't. What are we doing? If you put it in, you pull the back off and it shook off. You're doing really well. Is this a cunning plot? Otherwise, everything else all right? Actually, it works extremely well. That's part of my job. Yeah?